Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Extension. Today we're going to be talking about blueberries. We're also going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and from what I hear, we may see him milking a cow. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Today we're going to be talking about blueberries, and it's one of my favorite fruits, and I can't wait for it to get ready around June, July, and sometimes they're into August depending on the type of blueberry that you've planted. And you know, if you don't like blueberries, you're really missing something. But it is one of my favorite plants to eat as far as a fruit. And it's really, really good for us. It is saturated, fat-free. It is also sodium and cholesterol-free. But the good thing is, these have a lot of great vitamin C in our blueberries. And it also, blueberries are antioxidants, so we always hear that antioxidants are very good for us because they do prevent some of the type cancers that we're trying to prevent from getting as we get older. And if we eat right, they say that that's a good thing to do. And so blueberries are one of those things that we want to make sure we keep on our list to eat when they're in season. They're also about 83 calories to a cup of blueberries, and this is about 4 cups right here. And so you can see that you can eat a lot of blueberries for less calories than you can eat a lot of other things that are not good for you. So when you're wanting a sweet tooth of something to eat, try a blueberry because they are going to be very low in calories. Now when you're selecting your blueberries, make sure you're looking for plump blueberries. You want to try to make sure they're uniform in size. Now when you're picking your own, you can pick the ones that look really good, you know when they're ripe, but when you're buying them at the store, make sure you're turning the blueberry container upside down, checking the sides, and make sure that they look plump, they don't look like they're overripe, because you don't want to buy something that's overripe because it's not going to be good when you come home. Blueberries also, to me, I call it like a little frost color to them, but they also have what we call like a little frost color to them, so you're looking for that. They don't have a whole lot of shine to them. You do want to wash them before you eat your blueberries, so it's very important that you do wash them. But you don't want to wash your blueberries until you're getting ready to eat them or use them as far as baking. And also, if you're going to make jams and jellies, you do want to wash them at that point. Now, blueberries will stay in your refrigerator for about 10 to 14 days, which is really good. But I hope that you've eaten them by 10 to 14 days, or if you haven't, that you're putting them into good use as far as a jam or a jelly. But they do freeze very, very well. Now, what I recommend is to put them out on a cookie sheet and freeze them, and then put them into a container that is a freezer type container. It's a Ziploc bag or plastic container that is for the freezer. And they will freeze in your freezer. For about a year, you probably want to use them because the longer you freeze a fruit, the quality of that fruit, it is not going to be as good if you could eat it in the next 6 months. So they will freeze about a year, and so you want to try to eat them as much as you can. In the hot summer, frozen blueberries are a great way to cool off. So you don't have to just freeze them just to stick them and wait for later to use them. You can eat them in the summer and eat them when they're frozen. To me, that's just a great way to cool them off. If you got kids, great way for them to come in. They want something to eat to cool them off. Give them a cup of blueberries and let them go at it as far as eating it. But they freeze so well, and they make great jams and jellies. I don't know if you're into canning, but if you are, please think about doing you some this summer if you got some blueberry trees, bushes. So just keep that in mind. Great, great source of vitamin C, a little bit of vitamin K. You can't go wrong with some blueberries. So when we come back, we're going to be making a blueberry cobbler. And but first, we're going to hear from Frank Hancock, and he's going to tell us how to milk a cow.
Come on in, let's feed in there.
Okay, I thought we'd do something a little different today. We're going to milk a cow. We haven't done that on our on our show up until now. Used to, there were a lot of dairies in Henry County, and that's not the case anymore. There's only one small herd I know of being milked. But Jimmy Carter out here at Southern Bell, he has taken his dairy barn and converted it into a classroom so that he can teach school kids where milk comes from. And so he does a demonstration out here on a regular basis. So I'm going to turn it over to Jimmy Carter and let him tell us about dairies.
Well, thank you, Frank. Yeah, this farm has changed quite a bit. I grew up on this farm milking cows and was the third generation to do so. But several years ago, we decided to convert our dairy barn that we're in now more into an educational ag classroom. And we've been really excited with what it's turned into and really the audience that we're reaching. We try to talk agriculture to urban kids, and we get kids in the Atlanta metro area. In fact, in the spring, we'll have about 10,000 kids come through this barn. In the fall, we have about 20,000, so around 30,000 school kids come through this barn. And I have the unique opportunity of talking about where milk comes from, which most kids, unfortunately today, don't have a clue. So what we have converted our farm into is from a purely dairy farm into an agritourism farm. And of course, we have you pick strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. But the part I love the most is talking to school kids about dairy farming and introduce them to our cow, Belle, and this is Belle number 6, and she is a Holstein cow, the same kind of cow that I used to milk here on the farm. And so what I do with school kids is try to take them through the story of how cows are different from us and show them actually how milk is produced. And I really enjoy doing that, and the kids really are quite receptive to that because it's something totally foreign to them. Again, just these are kids within a 50-mile radius generally of our farm. So I go through the story of how milk is produced. I introduce them to Belle and talk about differences between cows and us. And one is size, obviously. Holstein cows will average weigh in about 1,500 pounds, so they're a lot bigger. They start their productive life at 2 years old and can live to be 15 or 20. I get a lot of those questions. But what I want to try to do to school kids is talk more about differences, and part of that involves what they eat. So I go through the story of what cows eat. Of course, it's grass, hay, feed, and show them some of this, talk to them about the amounts of that in water, and the fact that they have the unique ability of taking feed, grass, hay, and water and converting it into milk. And so I introduce them to the cow and show them that the milk, of course, is produced in the cow's udder, and she's trying to hide it right now, but the udder is right here. So the job of the dairy farmer is to get the cow in the barn, get her udder clean, and get her ready to be milked. And what I always tell the school kids, I want to tell them a little bit more about our history, in that my grandfather started milking cows on this farm 77 years ago, back in 1938. And back then, we didn't even have electricity out here on the farm. And so I asked him, I said, how did my grandfather milk 8 or 10 cows without electricity? And they automatically go to doing this. They understand that much about it. And so I'll show them, demonstrate how my grandfather used to milk cows into a bucket. But instead of me doing it right now, we have an expert with us, Frank Hancock, that is going to try his hand at trying to milk a cow now. So Frank?
Oh, well, yeah, you know, Jimmy, it's been a long time since I milked a cow. And so we can just, you know, you want to be gentle. You see that milk coming out of there? I hadn't forgotten how to milk a cow.
Good job.
But you have to have really strong hands if you're going to do this on the dairy farm all day long. So, but anyway, that's kind of how you would milk a cow, and milk it in a bucket. And the way we do it today, though, is a little better. I'm going to let Jimmy explain that to you.
Yeah, I tell them, obviously, my grandfather didn't milk 200 cows like we did. He only milked 8 or 10, but it was hard work, and it wasn't as sanitary either. So then I go into the process of telling kids how dairy farmers milk cows today, and how much easier it is, and certainly how much more sanitary it is. So at that point, I'll ask them, well, do you want to see me milk the cow? And of course, they all scream and holler yes. So I'm going to turn the machine on and show you how dairy farmers milk cows today. course, the milk comes from the udder through these lines and into this container, which is called a weigh jar. There it comes. And this actually feels good to her too. Doesn't hurt at all.
That's a little faster than what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and take it off. Okay. But kids today, just when they come in the barn, they'll see me milk her by hand and then milk with the machine, and they finally get it. You can see the light come on. They'll say, "Oh my gosh, milk comes from a cow." Many of them don't even know that, or they don't believe it. So we try to do our part for ag education. We do it with a lot of other crops on the farm too. But this is what I love, because I grew up doing this, and actually majored in dairy science at the University of Georgia back a long time ago. But hopefully the kids will remember. And just one closing remark, Frank, even today, I had a group of kids from the Atlanta area that came in, and I asked a question. I said, well, how can Belle eat grass and hay and we can't? And one of the kids said, she has 4 stomachs. And I thought, my goodness, how did you know that? He said, I've been here before and I remembered. And so I said, well, that's my pay for the day, because to realize that I'd said something probably a year ago and they remembered, that means we've made a connection. And that's what we're trying to do here on the farm today. It has changed quite a bit from having 50 dairies in Henry County to the one that Frank mentioned. And I feel that our mission today at Southern Belle Farm is to try to educate the consumer more about agriculture.
And we appreciate the work that you do in that regard, Jimmy. And Southern Belle does do a good job of showing school kids out here by the bus loads what goes on the farm, including milking the cow. And I think now we're ready to go back in and see what Susan is fixing for today.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. Today we're going to be making blueberry cobbler, and very easy steps to make. It's got a lot of good blueberries in it. Just want to tell you that also blueberries are great in fiber too, so if you're looking for something to get a lot of fiber in your diet, try some blueberries. So let's talk about our recipe. The first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need a stick of margarine, and I try to use the best, so I use some light margarine. And what you want to do is put it into a casserole dish, you know, whatever you have at home, but you want to put it in a casserole dish. And what I've already done is I've already melted the butter, because that's our first step that we need to do. So we've melted our butter in the casserole dish, and that is the first step, and it needs to be at the base, at the bottom. And what we're going to do is mix some other ingredients, and we're going to put it on top of that butter, margarine. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through it. We're going to add a cup of sugar to our bowl. We also need 1 cup of plain flour, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then you're going to need 2 tablespoons of baking powder, because remember I said this is plain flour, so we want to make sure that it's going to rise and do what it needs to do. And we're also going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mix up the dry ingredients first. Very, very simple to do. So I just want to make sure that I incorporate all the sugar and the salt and the baking powder in with the flour. And so you can see this is going to be the base to make that cobbler. So we're going to add now a cup of milk, and this is 1% milk. So I try to use milk that was not high in fat as much as regular milk. So I'm going to use the 1% milk. And I hope you learned a lot from Frank today on how to milk a cow, because you know we need a milk in a lot of things that we bake. So hopefully you learned something about a cow today. So what I'm going to do is just mix it up really good, because I want to make sure that I have everything mixed up really well. And the blueberries are going to go on last. So we just keep mixing this in, and make sure you get all your good flour mixed in with the milk, because you want everything moistened. You want to make sure that everything has a little bit of moisten on it. Make sure you go around the outer side part of your bowl too, just to make sure that you have everything mixed in really good. And I'm not going to use a mixer. I'm just going to pretty much use my hand to do it, because you really don't need to mix it up really, you know, to where it's just to beat it up and everything, because actually when I tell you to pour this on the top of that margarine, you're not going to really stir it around either, because we don't want it to stir around. So I'm going to make sure, I'm going to turn my bowl just a little bit and make sure I have it mixed up really good. Scooped around. All right, that looks good. And what we're going to do is you're going to pour these ingredients on top of the margarine. I want to make sure I see just a little bit more. I want to scoop all around just to make sure I have all that flour mixed up. And if you don't have plain flour, you can use self-rising flour. So then if you use self-rising flour, you won't use the baking powder and you won't use the salt. So you already have that in your self-rising. So if you don't have self-rising, you could use that. You can use plain, and that's what we're using today. So just remember, you can convert it, you know, as far as that goes. But just remember that self-rising already has all this in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pour this around, because I don't want the flour mixture and the milk and all that. I want it to kind of go around the outer edge too. So I'm just going to pour this on top of the margarine that's already melted. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got it is all the way to the outer edge, because once I put the blueberries on it, I'm not going to stir it at all. We're just going to lay the blueberries on top. So I think I have most of that ready. Very, very good recipe, but easy to make. So when the blueberries are coming in and you're getting tired just to eat them all by themselves like they are, perfect way to end the day with some blueberry cobbler. I'm going to put these inside here just to get them out of my way. Now this is 4 cups of blueberries, and you can see that's really still not a lot of blueberries, but oh, they're going to be so good. So what we're going to do is we want to just kind of get them, and we want to lay them out and make sure they're evenly distributed a part of this casserole part. So you don't want them all in the center. So we're going to start at one side, and I'm just going to kind of keep going and working myself down. And what's going to happen is when I put this in the oven, the batter part of this that I mixed up is going to move through the blueberries, and so it will look just like cobbler does. And what you want to do is put your oven, preheat your oven to about 425, and so have it ready. And then once you have it at 425, you're going to bake this for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now, just remember, ovens are different, so what I'm cooking with is about 425 for 20 to 25 minutes. But just remember that everybody's stove is different. So I'm going to tell you until it's a golden brown, till you feel like it's a really nice golden brown, and that's when you want to take it out. So don't overdo it, because this is a shallow pan, so it's really not going to take it long to bake. And you can see that the 4 cups of blueberries is going to be perfect, because it's going to fill this up really nicely. And I don't want all my blueberries in the center, so I want to make sure that I am getting them everywhere that I can see a place where maybe some batter is. And it's amazing when you start cooking this on how well the batter just seeps up through it when we start baking it. So now you have your blueberry cobbler. It's ready to go in the oven. And like I said, for about 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven, and have it about 425. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the oven and have it ready so we can come back and taste it. So we're going to wait till it's ready, and you know, sometimes you just can't eat cobbler without ice cream. So I tell you this, when Frank comes in to taste our blueberry cobbler, we're going to treat ourselves today with some ice cream. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden of Lights. Welcome back to Garden of Lights. Now Frank, I just took this out of the oven, and it's going to be a little warm, so don't burn your mouth.
This looks pretty good.
I figured you would like some Blueberry cobbler. So I think what I'm gonna do is give you a little ice cream first.
We need some ice cream. You know, we've been out milking cows all day, so
I know. You want two?
oh yes.
That's what I
Oh
figured.
yes. Never waste any ice cream.
I'm gonna take one. I could be sorry toward the end. I may want to eat two. And
I'll
I'm gonna
take
dip us
some of
some
that
up right
blueberry
now.
cobbler,
All
too.
right, here we go. We'll get some right out of the center if I can pick it up without making a mess. There's one. You want a little bit more?
That's sure, but that's good
All right.
for right this moment.
All right, and I'm gonna get me some. I'm looking forward to it. I love blueberries.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Good.
really, really good. Really good. Easy, good tasting, and I guess a little bit of ice cream
Little
on it
bit of
would
ice
make
cream.
it would make it even better, right?
That's right. You know, it's been a long time since I milked a cow. It was interesting.
I bet it was. Did you do a good job?
Well, the machine did better than me, but yeah, I did. I have milked a cow before,
I know you have.
a long time ago, but I didn't forget totally how to milk the cow.
That's good.
But
That's good. Well, you know, we got to have milk to do all this good stuff that we like to eat. So it's a
That's
good
right.
thing you milked the cow today.
that's right, milk and blueberries with this. Nothing can beat this.
That's true. That is true. Check out the website for the recipe. I know you want to put it into your recipe box. And Frank and I will see you next time on Garden Delights.
You know what you get when you cross a cow with a ghost?
What's that?
Vanishing cream.